And I think Omkar's expression makes me feel like this is how much it takes men to express. 10 years and a podcast about a film for
And
men to say thank you to each other.
Welcome everyone to yet another podcast episode, whatever, Gangs of Singapore, on my YouTube channel, which has been dormant for 9 months now. Okay, so I didn't manage the time to do all these things. I'm so glad that I'm kind of ending my hiatus. I don't know for how long, but with you guys, and also uh, this is the most number of people I have had on the channel at once. So this is entire team of I okay. As an academic, I can say Samarth et al. So Samarth and team. Uh, so Samarth, as most of you know, is a documentary filmmaker, and we are going to talk about his first film, Unreserved. You had a film
First
before
feature.
that also.
First
First
feature.
feature.
Yeah.
Not a short documentary, the first feature, Unreserved, which is a very special film to me also, because that is the film that got me connected to Samarth. And now we share a long friendship since the pandemic times, and we have also collaborated on an online documentary course called Docs Are Films since the past 2 years. We hope to do more seasons of that. So I'm really glad Samarth has brought his entire very talented team of Unreserved with him. And so, yeah, I'll just introduce. There's Samarth Mahajan, who is the director of the film. There's Ashay Gangwar, who is the producer. Omkar, who is the cinematographer of the DoP of Unreserved. And Anadi, who is the editor. And many of you also know Anadi from other projects like Sabarbonda, for example, right? Yes, I did very well internationally, very well-known film. So yeah, I'll start with whoever wants to answer. But my first question is, a film about capturing stories of people in the unreserved compartments of trains. How did that happen? For example, I know Samarth has an affinity towards trains. We have encountered that again and again during our course also. Films about trains keep coming up in some way or the other. But how did you come up with this idea, and how did you set up the team? Who came forward and said, this is what I'll do? And because obviously we know that these kind of films don't have a large team, and you have to kind of work on the go. So how did things transpire and work out?
Right, right. Asha, you want to set the tone? Because the tone was really set with how we were doing things at camera and shots.
yeah, so basically we had already done a couple of projects before this. The camera and shot started in 2014, and we started working together somewhat and I think middle of 2014 or somewhere like that. And uh, yeah, 2015 we started. So Cameron Shores had already done a couple of projects which were around Fireflies that Samarth had directed last year was the film. Then we had done a film that was in Goa. I had personally started Cameron Shorts with the first docu project, which was Walking Back to My Roots, where a friend of ours was walking from Delhi to Ajmer and I was cycling along with him. And so that had happened. We had been on the boat. It's called a fishtail. So a lot of things had happened before Unreserved. It was not like we woke up someday and thought of traveling in that train. So it was a gradual journey. We were sitting, we were discussing, okay, सब हो गया है. पानी हो गया, ये हो गया, वो हो गया. अभी क्या बचा है? तो लगा ट्रेन कर लेते हैं. ट्रेन भी है और we were quite young at that time. And the idea was to make a short film. It's called the Vivek Express, which ran from the Dubai to Kanyakumari. And what happened next is more like an organic process. Is That's where I'll leave it to somewhat actually. उसके बाद सब बदलता चला गया.
Ha. But I mean, the tone was really that at camera and shots, we were making films about travel and human stories. And so all these projects had happened, and trains was something which came naturally to me. तो मैंने जागृति यात्रा करके एक सफर किया हुआ था जिसमें स्लीपर क्लास में हम पूरे कंट्री का सफर करते हैं. तो वो जागृति यात्रा में द एजेंडा इज सोशल एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप, if you see the map of the Unreserved, it's like a ripoff of Jagriti Yatra ka map. Just that we have decided to also go to the extreme corners
So can you
of the
tell me
map.
what was the route that you followed?
Right.
Is it-
So yeah, I love these kind of details. So we started from Bombay and went to Okha, which is the westernmost point. And from Okha we went to Delhi to Katra. So Katra se Kashmir Railways, you can't move directly. So we took a cab to Kashmir Railways, which was Banihal to Baramulla, and we traced back the same route to Delhi. And from Delhi, we did a 55-hour long journey uh, till Dibrugarh. And from Dibrugarh, we did an 84-hour long journey to Kanyakumari. And from Kanyakumari, we came back to Bombay. So the idea was we'll touch all the extreme parts of Indian Railways like west, north, east, south, and also do this like Ashay said. The initial idea, in the very basic idea, we were just going to do one train, which is the longest train journey from Dibrugarh to Kanyakumari. So we thought that if we do these long journeys, people will change, conversations will change. We will be able to capture how our country evolves from region to region. So that's how I think trains came in, and this idea of exploring India by going to all the extreme parts came in, right? So it's basically 10 trains, and we realized that instead of doing Vivek Express, you know, अगर हम सारा देश ही कर लेंगे तो ज्यादा पैसे खर्च नहीं होंगे, क्योंकि विवेक एक्सप्रेस करने में हमारा जो खर्चा होगा उससे अच्छा हम पूरी कंट्री ही कर लेते हैं. दैट इज वन की इनसाइट वी गॉट व्हेन वी बजटेड कि बिकॉज द ट्रैवल रियली इज वेरी चीप ऑन सेकंड ऑन अपना जनरल डब्बा. So that's how, I mean, we arrived at the trains and the idea of exploring people's stories. Uh, and like Ashay said, so it was supposed to be a 15-minute film. Uh, राइट एंड उसमें फिर हमने जब सफर शुरू किया तो फिर बहुत सारी चीजें हुई जिसमें इंडिपेंडेंट होने का हमें बहुत फायदा हुआ, बिकॉज व्हेन यू आर इंडिपेंडेंट यू आर नॉट like obviously I'm answerable to Ashay, but Ashay is also like a brother, he's like a friend, so हम साथ में बैठे हैं. So it's not like I'm presenting a change plan to a corporate executive or 10 people have to be looped in to create a change. हम बैठे हैं and मैं आशय को बोल रहा हूँ तो the first plan did not have Kashmir in it, and we left the place to shoot, and जाट एजिटेशन हो रहे थे उस टाइम पे. जाट्स हैड बीन प्रोटेस्टिंग फॉर रिजर्वेशन. तो हम जब पहली बार निकले थे शूट करने के लिए तो हम वापस आ गए. वी कुडंट गो बिकॉज ऑल आवर ट्रेन्स गॉट कैंसल्ड. एंड व्हेन आई केम बैक आई वाज रियली पिस्ड कि ये क्या हो गया मतलब. तो फिर एक दिन आई एम जस्ट फ्रस्ट्रेटेड एंड आई टेल आशा यार कि कश्मीर भी जाना चाहिए हमें. But till that time, I was afraid because adding Kashmir would add some 10-20,000 rupees to the budget. And at that point, actually 10-20,000 rupees was a lot. And then I told Ashay कि यार अब तो कश्मीर भी जाना है यार, ये भगवान का इशारा है, उन्होंने हमें वापस भेजा है क्योंकि हम कश्मीर नहीं जा रहे थे. तो then I mean of course he was very receptive to it. मैंने दिमाग में जो भी सिनारियोस प्ले आउट किए थे कि आशय बोलेगा यार क्यों बजट ऐड कर रहे हो ये सब, तो वैसा कुछ हुआ नहीं. So that's how it really began कि why train, and how the general dabba came into the picture.
No, it sounds like a lot of fun. At least कि फ्रेंड्स के साथ फिल्म बनाओ तो एक वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऐसी होती है कि मैनेज हो जाएगा. Like you said, it's not about presenting your work to somebody, but handling the pressure together and overcoming obstacles together. But did you guys know each other before? Yeah, one of you came later on board, or how did it work? I
I
know,
think
like, I think Omkar and you have an IIT Kharagpur connection, is it?
no. So basically, again, I think Ashay had started camera and shots. I shifted to Bombay wanting to make films, so I had just sent him a Facebook text कि मैं भी हूँ शहर में, मुझे डायरेक्ट करना है. Ashay was very sure he wanted to produce. We went to Bottles and we had a glass of beer and we decided to work together. That's how I met Ashay. And I think Ashay met Anadi, right? Ashay, how did you meet Anadi? I think you will be able
So
to
we
better
were
tell.
searching for an editor. I remember that because the first editor we had before Anadi, just not the first but the second editor, proved that we can't make the film. We can't get into filmmaking. And then Anadi, I think someone told me Joel was a friend of ours, like she was an
So
executive
actually,
producer,
Omkar,
and yeah,
it's a very nepotistic group, all the four of us. I think Omkar and I knew each other. And then Omkar suggested my name to Joel, and Joel came to you, and yeah.
yeah,
So yes.
yeah, that's how. Yeah, so Joel was XIC Omkar's batchmate, so she was our first executive producer, our first paid person of the system. Because अब मैं वैसे सोचता हूँ कि ओह पहली सैलरी एक इंसान जिसको गई थी, not me, not Samarth, no one in the system, but that was Joel, just because of the reason कि वो हमारे साथ घर पे नहीं रहती थी, घर में रहते थे और खाना पीना सबका चल जाता था, तो हम लोग कमाते थे. It was a very barter share system initially. And through her, we met Omkar. Omkar took to Anadi. I went to Anadi's place. और मैं लिटरली उस जोन में था कि मतलब जेब में कुछ नहीं है, बट ट्रायल तो मारना चाहिए. एंड अनादि का थोड़ा सा मेरे को दे दिया गया था कि भाई ये एडिट का रैंक 2 है, एफटीआई में वाज वन ऑफ द टॉपर्स, तुम ऐसा ऐसा. मेरी तो हालत खराब है कि भाई जेब में तो पैसे है नहीं, पूछूं
if
कैसे
जेब में
इसको.
पैसे नहीं होता है तो नेपोटिज्म नहीं बोल सकते. It's not like you're using your influence, you're building your tribe. So I think it's
Yeah,
not
so I think that's what I've been saying. I've been very lucky. If you see my journey, it has been more about people that I've been with, and they have done really well. So I have like gone along with them, and that's actually a job of a producer, actually, to identify who can go in for a long race. And so I was lucky that way. So I went and met Anadi. Anadi के यहाँ पूरा 3-4 घंटे बैठा, क्योंकि बैठना इसलिए पड़ गया, बहुत तेज बारिश हो गई थी, and he wasn't आ रहे. So I can't go back. So 1 hour की मीटिंग हमारी 4-5 घंटे आराम से शाम वाम हो गई, चाय वाय पी रहे. एंड आई टोल्ड हिम पूरा कि ये सिचुएशन है, ये प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, 2-3 प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं शायद जो हमारे शूट हो गए बट एडिट नहीं हो रहे हैं, क्या तुम प्लीज आओगे 1-2 महीने में, प्लीज हेल्प कर दो. Then Anadi came on board. Luckily, he said yes to us at a very, मतलब very मतलब अभी तो लगता है कि कैसे उसने हाँ बोला. अब मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि यार इसने हाँ कैसे बोल दिया था उस टाइम काम करने के लिए, क्योंकि जो नंबर था वो ऐसा था कि I knew that I can't like literally get anyone like him, but I think he liked us. कि हम लोग काफी देर तक बात किए, and next day he said okay करते हैं. तब इसने पहली फिल्म अनादि ने काजुआ की थी हमारी, और मैं और समर्थ एकदम ऐसा खुश होके निकले थे कि पहला ड्राफ्ट देखिए यार कुछ तो हो गया है जीवन में, कोई तो अच्छा आदमी मिला है, हमें लग रहा है हम फिल्म मेकर बन सकते हैं. So that's how our journey started. And then earlier I used to shoot most of the projects because of the cost cutting. तो मैं DOP से start किया था. When Unreserved came on board, तब तक क्योंकि मेरा फोकस काफी टीम बिल्डिंग पे ज्यादा चल रहा था, बिकॉज आई anyhow भी कोई भी नहीं बोल सकता कि हमारा कुछ प्लान था, लाइफ ऐसे चलेगी अगले 5 साल. बहुत हेवायर, बहुत मेंटली स्ट्रेसिंग टाइम्स थे वो सब. एंड मैं ये रियलाइज किया कि मैं 15 दिन 10 दिन नहीं छोड़ के जा सकता अपना सिस्टम. और दैट्स व्हेन वी अप्रोच्ड ओमकार, एंड ओमकार वाज काइंड इनफ टू बी अ पार्ट ऑफ द ऑफ द फिल्म. क्योंकि काइंड इनफ इसलिए क्योंकि उस टाइम सब बहुत हवा में चला है, ठीक है, सबको एक्सपेक्टेशन. मतलब मैं अभी बोलता हूँ तो मुझे लगता है मैं लेस का पैकेट बेचने निकला था और सबको पकड़ रहा था कि भाई देखो मेरे पास कुछ नहीं है,
हाँ,
बट कुछ
जिसमें
करते
हवा
हैं.
भी बहुत ज्यादा थी, पैकेट में हवा की ज्यादा प्रोडक्ट्स है.
So yeah, that helped us, and then that's how the team came together. So
But actually,
So
we were
yeah.
colleagues first. I think our friendship
yeah.
got formed over work. Like अनादि और
Oh,
मैंने, हमने obviously प्रोजेक्ट पे लिटरली काम शुरू करने से पहले कुछ मुलाकातें की थी, बट ज्यादा चिल हमने काम करने के बाद किया एक दूसरे के साथ.
तब थोड़ा रिलैक्स भी हो जाता है ना कि काम हो गया.
हाँ.
But so I forgot to mention in the beginning कि it's been 10 years, right? So 10 years, when did it come on YouTube? 2016 or
So
17?
it got made in 2016. We
16.
put it on YouTube in 2017.
Okay. And I'm sure many people have watched it so far. I don't know how many views it has. Does Borderlands have more views or this one has more views?
Borderlands has more views, which is to our surprise, because we all, I think, feel that Unreserved is a more watchable film and a more accessible film. Around 1.5 lakh people have seen it, I think, on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I also wanted to ask you all about your career trajectories. What was before the film? What happened after the film? Because, like you said, you kind of took a leap of faith, all of you. तो समर्थ का तो मुझे पता है इंजीनियरिंग डिग्री है उसके पास. उसके बाद like many people say, if you're actually passionate about something, you should do engineering first. So
मतलब I think what
what
people say is कि पहले इंजीनियरिंग कर लो फिर फिगर कर लेना करना क्या
नहीं, मतलब ऐसा भी होता है कि
है.
ये एक जोक है कि आई थिंक 3 इडियट्स के टाइम पे उससे पहले से ही चल रहा है कि फोटोग्राफर बनना है पहले इंजीनियर कर लो, कुछ और कर, समथिंग लाइक, बिकॉज क्रिएटिव परसूट्स काइंड ऑफ come out after you have went through something that you probably don't enjoy. But did you enjoy engineering, or you just thought कि नहीं हो रहा है अभी छोड़. तो ओमकार is also an engineer, right? Yes.
Yeah, I am an engineer, not an IITian, but yes, an engineer from Pune. So like that's how I knew Anadi basically, because I am from Pune. I used to literally just be around in FTI all the time. I used to assist him on his projects in FTI. Then I came to Bombay in 2014. But yeah, like to answer your question, yeah, I did not like engineering at all. I think by like
What was your stream, if I may ask?
electrical.
Okay. For me,
Yeah.
no, none of the engineering streams are interesting. By the way. I'm a theoretical physicist. If you have seen the Big Bang Theory or something like that, you would know what I'm talking. But
No, like it before getting into engineering, I think the idea of engineering sounded cool. But once I got into the college, and I don't know if it was probably the atmosphere in the college also that contributed to me not liking it. But yeah, like by the third year of college, I had decided that I'm not going to pursue engineering. And yeah, like I got into the art circle in college. Like Pune has a very interesting theater culture, like college theater culture. There are like inter-college competitions which are like really well known and popular, like Firodia Karandak, Purushottam Karandak. So all of that, I did all of that for my college. That's how I got to know about FTI, and then like film festivals, like Pune International Film Festival was the first one that I attended. And yeah, like that's how I got interested in filmmaking. And then slowly things just happened. I came to Bombay in 2014 uh, for XIC. I came to XIC because 2014 FTI was not taking admissions, and I did not want to waste another year in my life after engineering. So that's why I came to Bombay, did the 1 year course in XIC, made a lot of friends, like passionate people about filmmaking. And that network has sort of just, helped me in the last 10 years. Uh, like that's how I met Cameron Shots, Ashay. That's how I met Samarth. I actually shot an interesting ad with Samarth also. Like that was the first work thing that I did with Samarth, where he was actually portraying a boxer.
really, I never heard of this. I would like to see this actually. You should
Yes,
send
I'll
it to
send
me.
it to you.
I was portraying a geeky boxer, and I was promised by the DOP and the producer that I'll look sexy. And that ad is, I don't want to see it,
Geeky and
and I don't
sexy.
want anyone to see it.
It's like a slow motion shot where Samarth is facing the camera and then punching, and then dust is flying all over.
Yeah. Yeah, and totally visualize, but I would still like to see it. Okay, but
But yeah,
I'm
that's
guessing
how.
like like an engineering degree probably helped you understand the technical stuff of camera work better, maybe to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Like in the sense that technically it's just certain extent tak theek hai, but uske baad to then it is up to you. Like yeah,
Hmm.
it's just whatever. Even the 1 year course in XIC that I did, it was like not at all about like cinematography ke bare mein. To it was like just like upar se just. But whatever I have learned is just like self-taught, like with practice and with just doing it yourself. Uh, and yeah, like Unreserved is a huge part of it actually. Like that was probably my first major project myself as a DOP, and it was all just learning on the go. And those 17 days on that train journey kind of really shaped my outlook towards not just life but also like my professionally working as a DP. like that. Those 17 days really contributed a lot in that sense.
But it's a very unconventional way to start your career because it's very challenging also. You usually you are on a set and then you have everything static, organized, but you are in a moving train. What kind of camera did you have and how did it work out? Because Indian trains are like cut, 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 cut. And then I will come to the audio part later because that's
Yeah,
where also the national award thing comes in,
yeah,
that is something completely else. But
yeah.
yeah, how did you manage to even hold something there? That also in a unreserved or general compartment, because AC compartment ka to we know things are still okay. But so what were the challenges you faced and how did you do it?
Yeah, I mean, basically आशय का ही कैमरा था. He had a 5D Mark 3 था ना वो, 5D Mark 3 and just one lens, the 24-105.
वो थोड़ा वो वाला क्रिकेट वाला फंडा है ना, जिसका बैट उसकी बॉल वही जिसका बैट वो पहले बैटिंग करेगा, तो इसलिए मैं पहले डीओपी था, तो मैं रियलाइज किया कि बैटिंग करने से
Is
अच्छा है
it
कि हम
why
बैटिंग
is
करते
that
हैं.
why it's called camera and shots?
The camera and shots came in because, sorry to interject Omkar, but camera and shots came in because यार मैं भी क्योंकि खड़गपुर से ही हूँ, तो मैं कॉलेज में जब भी रहता तो मैं शॉर्ट्स पहन के कैमरा टांग के जाता, तो I had this practice of 6 pocket cargo shots. And camera and shots was basically camera and those shots basically. And मैं जब बॉम्बे आया था तो पहला ब्लॉग मेरे से बोला यार कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा लाइफ में, कुछ कर तो रहा नहीं हूँ और फिल्म में करना है तो थोड़ा अपने बारे में बताना लोगों को, तो मैं कैमरा एंड शॉट्स जस्ट इट्स अ ब्लॉग नेम दैट आई रोट and then it became Camera and Shots Media Private Limited. So it's like the
So
journey.
whoever will hear the name, including me, at first I thought short माने short films. So I thought कि
ये
ये
मेरे को
production
हमेशा
house है
बोला
जो short
जाता
films
है,
बनाता होगा.
मुझे बहुत बोला गया कि अरे शॉर्ट्स ही बना रहे हो क्या तुम लोग, इसलिए शॉर्ट्स रखा है क्या, मैं बोलता ठीक है कोई नहीं, द वर्क विल स्पीक. सो नाउ वी आर मेकिंग ऑलमोस्ट ऑल द प्रोजेक्ट्स एज फीचर लेंथ, सो अभी नाम नहीं चेंज कर सकते.
But Samarth's upcoming project, is it also getting produced by your this thing or?
नो नॉट राइट नाउ. समर्थ अभी
Because that
फिक्शन
is a
में घुस
short.
रहे हैं.
That's why I'm saying.
नहीं, समर्थ अभी फिक्शन में घुस रहे हैं एंड फिक्शन के हमारे एम्बिशंस हैं, बट अभी आएंगे, 1-2 साल में आएंगे. वी आर प्लानिंग दैट, बट थोड़ा हम प्लान करेंगे, बहुत हो गया. मतलब वो मुझे वापस मैं अनादि से पर्सनली डिस्कस करा था, आई डोंट वांट टू गेट इनटू another round of setting up the entire system of like how we did for non-fiction. It took a lot of effort. We are quite aged now compared to where we were. We are all there. Anadi was our oldest candidate, so like oldest team member. So हम लोग इसको बोलते थे कि he's our oldest member. तो हम look up करके देखते थे. अभी लगता है यार वो तो कितना छोटा ही था यार जब join
Oh, in your early 20s, everyone seems old. Okay, someone in the late 20s
Yeah.
will also seem old.
Yeah,
Good.
so we got that कि we don't want to do that again. सबकी responsibilities in life में. I became a father last year. Omkar has a child. Everyone over here
Congrats.
has some responsibilities. Thank you. So मैं थोड़ा अपना इंटरजेक्ट करता रहता हूँ नेपोटिज्म के लिए कि 10 साल बाद 15 साल बाद मेरी बेटी अगर आना चाहे तो मैं बोलता रहूँ पहले से. Don't want to go into PR. But yeah, so that has been the name Kajal talent.
Hmm. Okay, back to Omkar. I'm
Back to
sorry.
Omkar.
Digressed a little bit.
No problem. क्या बात कर रहे थे हम?
ट्रेन में
the
कैसे
camera.
शूट कर?
हाँ. So yeah, I mean, before Unreserved, I had done a few shoots with Ashay only, like कुछ ads shoot करी थी. I had done a couple of fiction short films with my friends. मतलब ऐसे ही just like passion projects. So that was the experience that I had. But like you said, yeah, that's like a controlled environment. You are, you have chosen everything the way you want it to be. तो वो obviously that was my experience. And also the second thing was मैंने ट्रेन में travel किया था but इतना नहीं, like not so much. Like before this journey, the longest I might have traveled on a train must have been like 4-5 hours. तो मेरा experience उतना था नहीं ट्रेन का.
Not long distance. Okay,
Yeah.
एकदम से ज्यादा ही हो गया.
Yeah,
This is
Talks about
surprising
privilege.
this is surprising to me
Yeah.
also. I think हमने कोई बात ही नहीं करी कि
Oh,
तुम्हें
you
सिर्फ
did not know
4-5
this.
घंटे ही 4-5
ठीक है,
घंटे
मेरे
ही
टी
ट्रैवल
शर्ट
किया
में
था।
कॉलर नहीं है वरना मैं ऊपर कर
और
देती।
ये तो ये मुझे अगर तब पता लगता तो मैं आशय को जरूर बोलता यार कि ये हैंडल कर पाएगा कि नहीं कर पाएगा।
Maybe that's
आप
why I
ये
didn't
सोच रहे हो,
reveal
मैं सोच रहा हूँ
earlier.
क्या प्रिविलेज है भाई, 5 घंटे से ज्यादा यहाँ पे खड़गपुर जाने में हालत खराब हो जाती थी,
5
नहीं
12-12
मैंने
घंटा is
घंटे।
यार
nothing for
मैंने
a train
मैंने
journey.
मैंने बसेस में बहुत ट्रैवल किया था, लाइक लॉट्स एंड लॉट्स ऑफ बस ट्रैवल, बट ट्रेन ट्रैवल इतना नहीं किया था. सो विच वाज लाइक आई डोंट नो, मतलब इट नेवर केम अप इन आवर कॉन्वर्सेशंस. आई एम हैप्पी, बट ठीक है. बट लाइक when it comes to like shooting, yes, like yeah, it took me like 3-4 days just to get used to the motion of the train. शुरुआत के 3-4 दिन काफी डिफिकल्ट थे टू शूट, एंड ऑल्सो लाइक वी हैड अ लॉट ऑफ प्लान्स. हमने काफी कुछ डिस्कस किया था कि कैसे शूट करेंगे, यू नो हाउ वी विल बिगिन व्हेन वी एंटर अ कंपार्टमेंट, you know how will we interact with people, how will we make them comfortable with the camera being around. तो आई थिंक शुरुआत के 2-3 दिन वही फिगर आउट करने में गए, बिकॉज that was an issue. Like the moment you had the camera in a general compartment, people would like generally be a little bit hesitant. So I think what we started doing was, he would start talking to people. I would just separate away from him, and just shoot b-roll, like shoot b-roll in the train, b-roll outside the train, just the landscapes going by. So like maybe in like 45 minutes, people would get used to the fact that okay, there is a guy with a camera moving around the train, and then they would forget it. And then Samarth would strike up a conversation with someone, and if they like, then he would ask them that, is it okay if we shoot this? And then yeah, like that is how it like snowballed. Like once they people saw that okay, somebody is speaking to this person and there is a camera recording him, and then people would join in that conversation, then it would just go on from one person to another. Like that's how that it sort of like used to spread around. And yeah, like when it was like a crowded situation, I just had to, I think like I just accepted, second or third day I accepted कि नहीं मिलने वाले, like aesthetic shots नहीं होने वाले. You just have to take what you are getting, uh, just record whatever is happening around you. Don't worry about framing and composition. Like a lot of interviews, even in the final film, it's like very chaotic. People are right up next to the camera. The camera is moving everywhere. Uh, there are people going around, like बहुत कुछ हो रहा है. So like that chaos, I think, is a part of
That's
the
very
film.
organic also. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
So like I genuinely did not like I let go. I genuinely did not worry about framing or composition, or just like, you know, my only concern was कि मेरे को record करना है, and I need to make sure that I'm getting as much as I can.
then you
Uh,
knew you had Anadi to take care of it.
absolutely, absolutely.
Rest
I
of
think the
but
only discussion we had was perhaps after day one footage review that close-up कितना close-up रखना है. मतलब we were really going for close-ups, but another rule that we had was that हमारे composition के लिए हम लोगों को अपनी जगह change करने नहीं बोलेंगे.
Yeah.
लोग जैसे भी बैठे हैं हम उस हिसाब से frame करेंगे. So that was something that I think Omkar had to take care of कि even though हम उनको बोल नहीं सकते कि हिलो, फिर भी I mean he's saying कि aesthetic उसने छोड़ दिया, but छोड़ने के बाद जितना aesthetic पकड़ सकता था वो that was the challenge I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, yeah.
to
Like
forget
But
about aesthetic and still sort of have some
yeah.
sort of
close-up नहीं
meaning.
लोगे तो I can imagine कि बीच में और लोग आ जाएंगे ना, because it's a crowded place. That's also there probably. You have to really sit in front of the person you're talking.
Right. But मैंने ना
Yeah.
एक एक्चुअली एक फिल्म देखी थी, टॉकिंग हेड्स करके एक फिल्म देखी थी.
हाँ,
तो वो उसमें सिर्फ क्लोजअप्स ही हैं, तो मेरा थोड़ा वो
that
भी
was
था
also part
किस्लॉस्की.
of our course. Yeah,
हाँ, दैट वाज
last
पार्ट ऑफ आवर कोर्स.
season.
तो मेरा थोड़ा वो किस्लॉस्की का फीवर भी चल रहा था कि यार उसने ऐसे किया था तो हम थोड़ा क्लोज में
That's
खेलेंगे.
always an inspiration. Yeah. But so did Anadi, you also travel along with them, or you, because you came in the post-production, you did not, you just looked at the footage. How did it work?
I was just very happy to be in Bombay and not travel with them
Oh, I
because
was thinking how many people were, so Samarth and Omkar, obviously,
and
I
there was
don't know if
Rajat who
Ashay.
was also part of the team. Yeah, so yeah, I was not there with them. I was very happy to just be in Bombay and just hear about what all they're doing. So, and while they were traveling, it also became viral. because so Omkar was also tweeting some pictures of people and like a line or two uh, from their travel, and that's how suddenly BuzzFeed picked it up, and suddenly I think Scoop Poop and many of uh, those websites they picked it up, and suddenly it became viral. And I think then Varun
उस
Grover
टाइम पे वायरल
tweeted
का
and
यही
something.
मतलब होता था.
हाँ, Varun Grover also retweeted. तो काफी मतलब suddenly it just became like a big thing. कि क्या हो रहा है? Although they did not reveal that film shoot हो रही है. Everyone thought that they are just traveling for no reason. So that was fun.
Okay, so then they sent you how many hours of footage for you to work on?
So I think must have been around, I'm not sure, I think 30 hours,
30,
40 hours or
30 hours.
so.
30 hours.
Huh.
Wow. And you wanted to
Yeah.
make 15 minutes out of that.
Yes, that's where
15 to 20.
Ashay,
15 to 20.
yeah,
And it's the same only as
that's
this
where we really
photography.
we really made Ash's life difficult after that because they shot so much. And actually, when the footage came, I did not know what to expect really because they were traveling in such difficult situations. I wasn't sure what's going to come. But then, anyway, at that point of time, we were also all young technically, so we really did not have like, a lot of stuff at stake. So we were like, okay, let's see, we'll try and make something out of it. And then when the footage came, I was very surprised at uh, the way people were opening up to him and how everyone was they just couldn't stop talking. And I was just surprised to hear how intimate the interviews were. So, yeah, I think because of that, we got really excited. And I think I remember, so I used to live in RA, and Samarth and me. So we have this. I don't do this with any other director, but it's just our process. I think that we sit and watch all the rushes together. So that's the first time I'm also watching the rushes. So we did that. I think at my home, we spent like a few days or maybe a week. I'm not sure, and we started to watch everything, and then we started to also realize what all who are the people who have come, and then we came across a lot of people who had stories of heartbreak and love and all of that, and you later find out. I think Samarth will tell you why it was so. But so yeah, we I think by the end of it, we sort of, I think, I don't know who came up with it, but maybe I only said it. And I was like, how can you make just a 15-minute film out of it? It is also nice. And I think that is that time we started to think that what if it's not a 15-minute long film? And yeah, basically that's where the process began because the quality of footage was quite good.
Hmm. Then it was no longer camera and shots.
Yes.
Camera and longs.
Yes.
I think
Hmm.
I don't really remember, but I just feel that I wasn't told about this until I got to know it's a 3 hour draft.
I think
So
when the first cut came is when Ashay was told ki actually it's not a short film.
yeah, so
Yeah,
so
we were trying to figure out how to tell him
hmm.
because it changes a lot of things and yeah, as in everything else also changes because then the kind of stuff you can do with the film also changes. So it it was a decision that we had to, but we also thought that we'll first show it to him and let's see what he says because it's better that someone watches it and then gets convinced that oh, it's actually not bad. So, yeah, so then we just thought that instead of giving information without context, we should just let him. I don't know if you liked the first cut, but we still were able
I think
to, I think, make the.
I think I had liked it. मतलब मेरे को बस ये बोला गया था अगला कट थोड़ा छोटा होगा. बट आई
Ah, but
न्यू
it
कि
was 2 hours
इतना
long,
छोटा नहीं होगा.
two hours
हाँ,
shorter.
इतना छोटा नहीं होगा ये तो समझ में आ गया था. बट ऑनेस्टली जानते हो अब मैं उस टाइम आई डोंट नो कि अभी जो मुझे जितना याद है मुझे ये याद है कि आई वाज हैप्पी बिकॉज हम लोग शॉर्ट फिल्म बना चुके थे कि मतलब मेरे को पहली बार वो फीचर का फील आया था कि मतलब दिस इज हाउ फीचर इज। एंड तुम एक नॉवल के बारे में जो होता है ना, शॉर्ट स्टोरी वर्सेस नॉवल, तुम नॉवल को क्यों देखते हो, एंड दैट बिकेम समथिंग। सो आई वाज नॉट एट ऑल सैड, आई वाज नॉट एट ऑल एंग्री, आई हैड नो क्लू एक्चुअली कि इसलिए गुस्सा भी होना होगा। तो ठीक है, मैं तो एकदम बंदा था कि यार हम कुछ अच्छा बनाते हैं वाले जोन में था मैं। एंड मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई थी, फिर उसके बाद मुझे पता चला कि फीचर में क्या खर्चे लगते हैं। एंड दैट्स वेयर आई आई वाज लाइक फिगरिंग आउट कि अब बना तो दिया है, अच्छा भी लग रहा है, अब आगे कैसे। वही सेम प्रोसेस एज द वे आई वेंट एंड गॉट अनादि ऑन बोर्ड। I went for the grading person, I went for the sound thing। वो बहुत अलग एक्सपीरियंस था। मतलब we were lucky actually, it was actually a sheer luck कि हमने फीचर बना दी जो कोई सोचता नहीं था। और लोग हमेशा इतना हुआ बनाते हैं ना कि फीचर बनाना कितना डिफिकल्ट है। मुझे उस टाइम तो ऐसा ही लगता था, फिर उसके बाद समझ में आया कि obviously the more you get bit polished, the more you learn, it gets difficult only। बट पहली बार सोचो कि किसी ने कभी सोचा ही नहीं था, कभी लाइफ में नहीं सोचा था। और हमने तो फिल्म बनाना ही नहीं सोचा, हम तो शॉर्ट फिल्म बना रहे थे, इंजीनियरिंग बैकग्राउंड से आए हैं, कभी घुसे नहीं है। So we were in that zone. So it was exciting, and the way it turned out, it's exciting.
But it's nice that you have the flexibility to decide कि फिल्म कितने लेंथ का बनेगा, जो it's not, it's mostly predetermined, right? And especially if
Yeah,
it's scripted, तब तो आप तो 4 घंटे का भी बना सकते हो। फिर you can say what if आशुतोष गोवारिकर made a documentary, something like that. So it's up to you. But I am now tempted to watch like at least 2 hours of the uncut version। 30 hours तो नहीं देख पाऊंगी शायद मैं। वो उसको भी शॉर्ट शॉर्ट करके फिर पीस वाइज एपिसोड बना के निकालना पड़ेगा। But how did you decide whom to talk to? Or I'm guessing you talk to a lot of people because there's a lot of footage. But if you picked people based on certain criteria, I don't know how they look like, or if they looked interesting, कि इनका story कुछ हो सकता है, या फिर उनके पास सामान क्या था, etc. And was there any resistance कि नहीं हम बात नहीं करेंगे? वो भी हुआ होगा obviously।
तो उसमें आई थिंक शुरू में इतना लॉजिक नहीं था। इट वाज जस्ट अबाउट कि हु इज लुकिंग फ्रेंडली। लाइक इफ आई एम going into a space and I am looking at people and I am giving these creepy smiles, who's creepy enough to smile back to me, more like who's looking accessible and friendly। तो एक्चुअली पहले 3-4 दिन हमने बहुत सारी बंदों से ही बातें की बिकॉज इट वॉज ईजियर टू टॉक टू मैन। एंड फिर उसके बाद ओमकार ने एक टाइम पे बोला, एंड आई रिमेंबर दिस वाज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट मोमेंट, वी आर ओनली टॉकिंग टू मेन। एंड आई थिंक बिकॉज ही वाज ट्वीटिंग आल्सो, तो आई थिंक उसको डबल टाइम मिलता था प्रोसेस करने के लिए, नॉट जस्ट टू सी द इंटरव्यूज बट बिकॉज ही इज आल्सो ट्वीटिंग, ही मस्ट बी लाइक कि यार मेरी पूरी फीड पे बंदों के फोटोज है। तो देन आई स्टार्टेड फोकसिंग ऑन विमेन फॉर फ्यू डेज। तो आई थिंक डे 4, 5, 6 से बंदियों से बातें करी। एंड आई थिंक जब हमारे दिमाग में थोड़ा जेंडर रेशियो बैलेंस हो गया, देन आई थिंक अराउंड मिडवे इज व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड सीकिंग मोर एक्साइटमेंट कि ट्विंस, आई सॉ ट्विंस एंड आई जस्ट स्टार्टेड इमेजिनिंग कि व्हाट इफ आवर फिल्म हैज ट्विंस, you know and then I'm sitting between two Muslims who have very different opinions. So what if I'm able to, and that's actually one of the few moments in the film where I poke also कि चलो मोहम्मद की बात करते हैं, where there is no reason why we should be talking about Muhammad in the general course of things, and especially I should be leading a conversation on Muhammad। I don't think I'll do that in real life as much as, क्योंकि फिल्म बन रही थी। तो after a point it became about कि what will add a new flavor। That's how we also ended up talking to the trans woman, uh, and I think that's where it became really like a so you're just sort of looking at possibilities of how the film will become more interesting and rich in terms of representation। तो बहुत बीच में साधु से भी बात की थी, एक सरदार जी से भी बात की थी, जस्ट बिकॉज आई एम इमेजिनिंग कि फिल्म में क्या क्या इंटरेस्टिंग दिख सकता है। तो बट रेजिस्टेंस वाइज आई थिंक शुरू में रेजिस्टेंस थी बिकॉज हमको प्रोसेस पहले फिगर आउट करना पड़ा तो शुरू में जस्ट पहले एक दिन मैंने ओमकार को बोला था कि तुम मेरे साथ रहो ही मत, तुम दूर कहीं बैठो, पहले मैं दोस्ती करूंगा फिर मैं तुमको बुलाऊंगा। पर वो स्ट्रैटेजी बिल्कुल वर्क नहीं कर रही थी, क्योंकि इमेजिन करो कि मैं तुमसे बात कर रहा हूँ, फिर तुम मेरी दोस्त बन गई, फिर मैंने बोला कि अच्छा एक्चुअली ना मैं शूटिंग भी कर रहा हूँ। तो उसमें थोड़ा धोखा था उस पूरे तरीके में। बाद में आई थिंक ओमकार ने कैमरा गले में पहनना शुरू कर दिया, एंड लाइक ही सेड कि ही स्टार्टेड शूटिंग बी रोल इन द कंपार्टमेंट, एंड सो द प्रोसेस वाज वेरी ट्रांसपेरेंट विद पीपल। सो लोग या तो सीधे ना बोल देते थे या मान जाते थे। रेजिस्टेंस हमें उतना नहीं आया, मतलब इट वाज mostly also a time 10 years ago when people used to not be so serious about their online presence, right? Not everyone was on Facebook or Instagram. So I think लोगों को exciting लग रहा था actually, because they were not so used to getting interviewed या coming on camera. So they didn't mind. I think we actually, to our surprise also, because I thought कि बहुत मुश्किल होगा, but बहुत कम resistance था लोगों में. Most of the people we talked to, they actually were ready to give interviews.
So, speaking of this visibility and social media, which also kind of equates to scrutiny in today's times. So, one of your most interesting clips is this Kashmiri guy who says, I support the Pakistani cricket team. So, like, आज के ज़माने में, that little bit of clip can easily go viral and create havoc in somebody's life. But you had kind of you didn't, I guess you did not think of that danger much. You were just, you considered it something interesting to be included in the film because it was very unusual to hear someone say like that, right?
So actually उसके बाद भी अभी जैसे मैंने बहुत जगह पे, if I talk about even borderlands, I actually use that clip because it's also
Mm-hmm.
about border areas, right, in a way. तो वो
Yeah, so
clip,
I saw that in your point of view lecture also.
point
Yeah.
of view lecture also. So मुझे actually what the question you're asking is an important one, but ज्यादा बड़ा issue मुझे लगता है कि there is a person in the film who's running away from her abusive husband. I think if I was to use today's social media logic, that is the story which I would actually not have in the film. Because she's trying to run away from her husband. What if the husband chances upon this footage somewhere on the internet? जो 10 साल पहले बहुत मुश्किल था हमारे लिए सोचना कि someone who pulls rickshaw will be on Instagram, right? But abhi,
Right.
because the way the internet has gotten democratized, even a homeless person today is on Instagram, right? So you, and which is great because storytelling has gotten democratized and so much has happened. पर अभी दो बार सोचना पड़ेगा कि कोई अगर अपने हस्बैंड से भाग रहा है तो क्या मैं उनकी आइडेंटिटी ऐसे रिवील कर दूं? कश्मीर वाली क्लिप एक्चुअली, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट, इतनी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नहीं है, बिकॉज द पर्सन हु इज टॉकिंग एंड हाउ वी आर टॉकिंग, आई थिंक, एंड ऑल्सो द वे इट इज एडिटेड, इट्स नॉट पुट इन अ सेंसेशनल वे। एंड अभी भी मैं कहीं यूज करता हूँ तो उसकी रिएक्शन इतनी स्ट्रांग नहीं आती। पर ये वाली दूसरी कहानी मुझे हमेशा लगता है कि अगर हम आज ये फिल्म बना रहे होते तो शायद वो कहानी नहीं होती फिल्म में, या हम सेंसर करते, कुछ ना कुछ अलग तरीके से करते।
Right. Also, I was thinking कि ये तो story of unreserved compartments हो गया. A similar thing is done, say, parallelly in an AC compartment. Okay. Will it pan out the same way, or like will people? I think people are more reserved there because एक चीज तो है कि मुझे इंडिया में लगता है कि train compartments are a very big markers of class distinction. विच मैंने अब्रॉड में तो नहीं देखा है बिल्कुल भी, जितना भी इट्स लाइक यूरोपियन ट्रेन्स में फर्स्ट क्लास भी होता है, इस सम फीचर्स मे बी द लेग स्पेस इज बिगर और समथिंग लाइक दैट, और टिकट्स आर स्लाइटली हाई। बट इंडिया में ये जो है कि आप एसी कंपार्टमेंट, उसमें भी सेकंड एसी, फर्स्ट एसी, थर्ड एसी, तो उसके हिसाब से पता चलता है कि आपके पास पैसा पैसा कितना है। तो डज इट मेक सेंस टू डू समथिंग लाइक दिस in an AC compartment? Do you think people will be less receptive, or there will be less interesting stories, or just hypothetically?
No, we
Any
actually
of it?
wanted to make that film only. We initially wanted to make a film which we will shoot in all classes. Just because हमको
अच्छा,
परमिशन बहुत,
difference.
हाँ, तो हमारा आइडिया था कि थर्ड एसी, स्लीपर, जनरल तीनों में शूट करेंगे, पर परमिशंस बहुत एक्सपेंसिव थे और मुश्किल भी थे। मतलब हमें पैसा भी देना पड़ता परमिशंस के लिए, प्लस अगर हम वो करते तो उसके साथ बहुत सारे रूल्स थे जिसके कारण हमारा शूट बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता। So at some point we decided we'll not do it, and it was our like extreme faith in Indian judgment of class and our faith कि कोई टीटी आएगा ही नहीं जनरल डब्बे में, because no one really cares about this डब्बा, कि हमने सोचा कि बिना परमिशन के शूट करना है तो जनरल डब्बे में कर लेते हैं. बट आई थिंक अगर थर्ड एसी में शूट करते तो डेफिनेटली कुछ आई थिंक लोग खुल जाते एट सम पॉइंट, बट उनको टाइम ज्यादा लगता, क्योंकि जो स्पेस का आइडिया है ना बहुत डिफरेंट है. जनरल डब्बे में सब एक दूसरे के अंदर बैठे हैं, मतलब देर इज लिटरली इन अ स्पेस ऑफ 3 people देर आर 5 people. तो ऑटोमेटिकली दैट स्पर्स कॉन्वर्सेशन एंड यू कांट एस्केप इट. एंड वो ऐसा भी है कि अगर हम पांचों एक साथ बैठे हैं एंड आई स्टार्ट टॉकिंग टू यू, at some point Ashay will listen into it and start talking. वो बड़ा ऑर्गेनिक प्रोसेस है. जबकि एसी क्लासेस में सब लोग अपने अपने स्पेस में होते हैं एंड आई कांट आस्क समवन टू रिमूव देयर एयरफोन, समवनस वाचिंग द फिल्म. सेकंड एसी में लोग पर्दा बंद करके क्या कर रहे हैं मुझे नहीं पता, बट आई कांट बार्ज इन इनटू पीपल्स स्पेस. सो इट वुड हैव बीन अ स्लो प्रोसेस, बट आई आल्सो फील इट वुड हैव बीन अ नॉट एज रॉ, बट वो भी शायद इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरीज होती. वो हाइपोथेटिकल है, बट वो फिल्म बनाने में मतलब 17 दिन से बहुत ज्यादा टाइम लगता, आई फील.
I think Ashay left. He'll can come back. Um,
What do you think,
he was
Omkar,
saying
Anadi, do you think you have any opinion on a hypothetical film in third AC compartment? I think Anadi will be like कि क्यों शूट करना है.
the
I don't
movie का
know.
नाम कुछ और होता ना फिर, Unreserved नहीं तो
वो भी
maybe you
है.
had thought of some other name in the movie.
It was called the Train Project, which is not so
हाँ.
exciting.
Yeah. I don't know. It could have been an interesting film, I feel. But वही है, समय लगता, और क्या पता क्या किस तरह की बातें होती. मे बी वो सारी बातें इतनी इंटरेस्टिंग नहीं होती. मे बी I don't know actually. Yeah. Maybe it could just have been we would probably then be able to achieve a short film, क्योंकि उतना नहीं होता इंक्लूड करने के लिए, क्योंकि ज्यादा लोगों ने बात ही नहीं की होती. बट या बिकॉज इसमें भी ऐसा नहीं है कि आउट ऑफ द 30 hours that they shot, there were many people who were not comfortable with the camera or were shy. So that was also there. So I think वो ज्यादा होता है in an AC compartment, I feel.
But now coming back to the audio part, which I wanted to. So the film won a national award for best audiography, right? So how did that work? Because माइक का क्या मतलब, कैमरे पे माइक लगा होता है कभी कभी. आई हैव सीन लाइक इन न्यूज रिपोर्टिंग एंड स्टफ. आई एम वेरी ले पर्सन इन दीज थिंग्स, ठीक है. तो ओमकार ने जो भी कैमरा का डिस्क्रिप्शन दिया मेरे सर के ऊपर से गया, इतना बता रही हूँ. बट तो ऑडियोग्राफी, हाउ डिड इट वर्क आउट, एंड डिड यू हैव समबडी फॉर साउंड डिजाइन एंड स्टफ, और यू डिड इट योरसेल्फ, हाउ डिड इट हैपन?
Right. तो आई थिंक उस टाइम पे we were not actually actively thinking also that what I am doing is a full department. And हमारे फिल्म के क्रेडिट्स में साउंड रिकॉर्डिंग का क्रेडिट नहीं है. वो
अच्छा.
जब हम सबमिट कर रहे थे फिल्म अवार्ड्स के लिए तो वहां पे पूछा था कि साउंड रिकॉर्डिंग किसने की, तो मैंने अपना नाम डाल दिया, बट फिल्म में एक्चुअली क्रेडिट नहीं है.
I
So that
checked on
tells,
IMDb, it was your name, that's why I'm asking.
IMDb में डाला है बट फिल्म के अंदर नहीं है, फिल्म के क्रेडिट्स में नहीं है. IMDb में तो डालना पड़ा ना, क्योंकि आई हैड टू लाइक राइट के ये अवार्ड मिला है तो फिर बनता है. बट आई थिंक एक्चुअली आशय रेज दिस डाउट वेरी अर्ली कि इस प्रोजेक्ट की फिजिबिलिटी उसके साउंड पे डिपेंड करती है. तो एंड आई थिंक ही हैड अ फ्रेंड हु वाज अ साउंड रिकॉर्डिस्ट और अ डिजाइनर एंड ही came on a call with me and उसने मुझे समझाया. बेसिकली वी यूज दिस डिवाइस कॉल्ड Zoom H6. वो हैंड हेल्ड डिवाइस है जो फिल्म में भी दिखता है, और एक ही डिवाइस हमने यूज किया था. तो उस बंदे ने आई थिंक एज फार एज आई रिमेम्बर बस ये बोला था कि इसको ग्रीन और येलो में ही रखना तुम्हारे साउंड के लेवल्स को, ये कभी रेड में नहीं जाना चाहिए. तो दैट वाज माय एंटायर अप्रोच टू साउंड रिकॉर्डिंग कि ये चीज कभी रेड में नहीं जानी चाहिए. And he told me which mic to use. I never changed the mic. And I did a recce sound. Basically, people do recce for many things. I did recce for sound, where I took the Mumbai local and I went from Andheri to Karjat or Kasara. I went somewhere to the extreme part of the local and I just talked to people, went alone without a camera, And the entire intention was one to check the audio and also see ki, because I am not someone who goes into trains and talks to people every day. So then I thought कि मैं भी देख लेता हूँ कि लोग खुलेंगे या नहीं खुलेंगे and sound का भी check हो जाएगा. So that's something that I did and I was very anxious because that was a make or break thing. तो मैंने sound record किया, मैं वापस आया and I think I remember making Ashay hear it, making Anadi hear it, and it seemed like it will work out. So that is when we went ahead with the project. And literally, I mean, there was literally no other logic. And I realized that if these levels have to be in green and yellow, then the mic has to be at a certain distance from people's mouth. So we did not, I think Omkar maybe on day one pointed कि जो mic है वो camera में आ रहा है. And I was like, that's okay. That's fine because there is no other way to record this. And if I keep the mic away, then we will not be able to make this film. So it was as simple as that, just one device and one mic and no on-camera mic actually because we also wanted it to not look very serious. तो कैमरा के ऊपर माइक लग जाए तो एक प्रोफेशनल सा लुक आ जाता है. We wanted to really come across as college students or someone who people will not take seriously. तो कैमरा पे भी माइक नहीं था.
नहीं वो मतलब फ्रेम में माइक दिख रहा है, that also creates the interview kind of template, so I think that's good also.
In camera thing, no, like, but a lot of people, like, this is a question we started getting later when we did a screenings at SRFTI and FTII. People actually asked ki, how did you decide to have the mic in the frame, because that's a big decision apparently, because usually when you have this mic in the frame it looks less cinematic and you are breaking this suspension of disbelief thing basically, that कि लोगों को पता लग जाता है. Many times it's also seen as amateur. तो वो
No, but I
चीजें
also feel that, yeah, I agree. But I think that also works for the film because all of this is there. I think it just adds to the authenticity of it, and it also adds to the fact that we are not hiding the fact that we're making a film from the people and from the audience as well. So yeah, I think that I personally was very delighted by that it's all there. Everything is uh, showing in the frame. But yeah, sorry to cut you.
No, you're right. I mean, ultimately it works for the film, but it's not something because we did not also study a certain aesthetics. Like Ashay said, we just started making films. A lot of these things we are like कि ठीक है ना, मतलब अगर ऐसे नहीं करेंगे तो ये हो ही नहीं पाएगा, तो ऐसे ही करते हैं. Rather than कि यार ऐसे नहीं हो पाएगा, we need to figure some third solution. We never got into that.
मुझे अभी रियलाइज हुआ कि जब समर्थ बता रहे थे कि काफी पीछे का रिकॉर्ड है कि उन्होंने उस साउंड रिकॉर्डिस्ट से बात की थी. मेरा पहला एक्सपीरियंस बताऊं, वो मेरे एड शूट पे आए थे. मैं अभी नाम याद नहीं आ रहा मेरे को उनका, बट वो मेरी एड शूट पे आए थे. मेरा पहला दूसरा कुछ एड शूट था एंड नो आइडिया हाउ साउंड्स आर हैंडल्ड. सेम ऑलमोस्ट सेम लेवल एज यू आर राइट नाउ. सो हुआ क्या कि मैं जैसे सेट पे घुसा, वो घर था, एक सेट दोस्त का घर था, उस पर शूट हो रहा था. वो मुझसे पूछ रहा था कि फ्रेम रेट क्या है आपकी शूट का. मैं ऑलरेडी स्ट्रेस्ड आउट था. मैं बोला फ्रेम रेट का क्या करेगा तू, है तू करना है साउंड रिकॉर्ड. चला गया, ठीक है. और फिर मैं बाद में रियलाइज किया हाउ व्हाट एन इडियट आई वाज while the shoot was going on, and then I realized okay, this guy is really good. फिर उसके बाद then I connected him to Samarth, I guess. वो like so मतलब आपको जो रियलाइज होता है ना कि आप किस, बताओ उस इंसान की वजह से तुम्हारा नेशनल अवार्ड तक पहुंच गए. So I think that is where we, मेरे को एकदम से वो याद आ गया पूरी स्टोरी. याद था I was very rude. वो मैं भी हूँ, मैं उस टाइम काफी rude इंसान था, I guess.
होता है सब होता है. Don't
No,
worry.
And then on Borderlands, we had 3 mics running at a time.
See, so you stepped up, right? So the next one is always supposed to be better from experience. So the other question I had was about the music. So there's
You also asked about the sound design. So basically, the sound design was done by Anadi only. We did not have money for a sound designer. So Anadi realized that in लोगों के पास budget नहीं है. He just did it. I don't even I don't know. Did anyone ask you to do the sound design? I think you just did the sound design.
No, I think I told you that this is called sound design, and we need to get someone else. And then there was no money. So, because we have been doing it in the last two films or last three films that we did before it also, I was only doing it because there was no budget. And then I think,
No money.
yeah,
Let's be.
no money. So,
So
yeah,
audiography and sound design are different things, right? Audiography is like on the spot thing. Sound design is the post-production thing.
So I think it's
yeah,
the
yeah.
totality of it, but we got an award for on location sounds. Many times they
Hmm.
give best audiography for design also. So
Yeah,
it's a teamwork, and I also found it ironic when they gave the award, because how do you differentiate the on location sound from the design? It should ideally have been
yeah.
given to the sound team, you know.
The
So
team
that's
is
It's
you,
quite a
so
hokey award,
it's
I think.
two
It's
people, but yeah, I think it was just, and but I also remember Anadi. As far as I remember, Anadi had fun doing the sound design. I think he was enjoying the all the tripping on the sound of trains, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and there is no other option after you've accepted that I will not be paid for it. I think enjoying is the at least was the
No,
only way
also
of coping.
I think after you've also accepted that this film needs to somehow work, but there is no money, so then it has to also like someone has to do it. So yeah, I think it also we also enjoyed it, and like what you were asking also, things also started to add up because Samarth will tell you the music story, but I think after because of that happened, you start to also feel that there are some people who are also validating whatever you're making. So it just feels more important, more important than what if you than what if you were just making it for your own self, and then suddenly you start to realize that there are other people also engaging with it. So yeah,
hmm. तो बाकी फिल्म के म्यूजिक के बारे में बोल रहे थे, yes, music also. So you have included an Indian Ocean का song. So how did that happen, and like did you reach out to them or for permission and stuff? Yes, उसके बारे में थोड़ा बताइए.
Right. So we are usually looking for reference tracks to put on our film to understand ki vibe kya hai. Now the way our whole entire year was going was कि जो भी हम reference track डालते थे, I started with Kazwa. I would just write to the person who created the reference track and get those rights only instead of creating original music. So there was this whole luck thing going on, that we got music from Karthik Iyer, who used to play the violin for A.R. Rahman. He had created a track and we got it for Kazwa. And I think when we were looking for reference tracks for Unreserved, I think Anadi had two, three ideas. I think there was one song by I think Kabir Cafe, Zara Halke Gaadi Haanko. So he was very excited about that, but I did not like the vocals. And so we had to find a new one. And so Leaving Home came into the picture. And I don't know why, but I kept saying कि I'll write to Indian Ocean, and होश कुछ ना कुछ कर लेंगे. And I remember, I think so Vaibhav Jadhav is also a team member from then. He now teaches screenwriting at FTI. And then he was asking us that why have you kept Indian Ocean ka track? What's the point? And he raised these questions on the logic of keeping this track. And then I said, no, I'll write to them. And I finally did write to them. And it's a very funny email with, I think the subject is as long as the copy. And the copy does not tell the name of the film. The copy only says that, oh, we are a bunch of filmmakers and we've made a film and we really love your track. Can we please use it? And it has literally no information on what the film is about. What is it called? Our bio, nothing. It was a very naive email.
But was it deliberate or was it a
No,
mistake
no,
to
no. I
just
mean, I thought I have written such a nice email. That was the understanding of a good email 10 years ago. And I am just amazed. And I remember Dhruv Jagasia was the manager of Indian Ocean at that point. So he responded very kindly that, yeah, you'll have to tell us what the film is about. and and then I think I showed it to Anadi maybe, and then he I think told me, ki, okay, write, the synopsis, tell them that we'll send them the cut. We did that, and then we sent them the cut, and they actually liked the film, and they let us use the music track with just a credit courtesy. So that
Mm.
was crazy. I mean, that year gave us a lot of confidence that there are a lot of artists who are very open to collaborating, and the music was, I think, it just went very well with the vibe of the journey. And a lot of people, I mean, I remember connected to, it's in the opening sequence, it's in the last sequence. It just lets you enter the film very nicely. It has a certain rootedness and folkness, freshness to it. So,
Mm.
but yeah, I mean, we got permissions from Indian Ocean through an email, which I would not respond to perhaps, today. But just because someone responded to it, I still respond to all the emails I get, no matter how bad they are.
No, this reminds me of the time when I was writing to professors while applying for PhD abroad. So it's like, hardly any information. I have like attached some badly written CV of myself, but some people were kind enough to reply. So yeah, I mean, when we are in positions like this, we also understand that people have limitations or they are not very aware of. But just it struck me that I haven't seen many documentaries, at least non-Indian documentaries, which have a lot of music in them. Somehow, music is mostly associated with fiction. So it's interesting that you are kind of amplifying the voices of these people by a track that it goes with their philosophy, goes with their thoughts. Leaving home, as in this woman who was escaping from her abusive household. It also fits with her current situation. So yeah, uh, I'm thinking what else I could ask you, because I've asked you a lot of things, and I have had the privilege of chatting about this film with Samarth multiple times since but I actually need to rewatch it now, and you better send me the long footages exclusively. If you still have them, I hope you haven't deleted.
I have a hard disk with all the footage. I
Wow.
someday plan to rewatch it. Someday. I don't know when that day will come. But when we finished shooting, I think my first intention was to write a book. And I remember creating an Excel sheet where I said that I'll write 10 pages every day. And I could not continue after 3 days. I remember I realized that I'm not so much of a writer. But I think at some point, I don't know, when there's really nothing to do, I would love to rewatch it and maybe do something with uh, I don't know, maybe after I'm 60 or something. Write a book at that age because I've anyhow forgotten a lot of the actual interaction. So footage is the only reference
You'll
point to
forget
it.
more at 60. Come on. No, I was actually thinking before today's meeting, corporate meeting, that I I I was about to ask you in this point of view lecture that have you thought of like a sequel or even for Borderlands, because you said some stories did not make it to the film, right? So I forgot what answer you gave that time. But I was thinking maybe it could also be in a book format, because there are so many things to tell from, and I'm not sure if a book on such a subject exists. Maybe it
Right.
does. Mm.
No, I really do. I want to talk about, say, 100 people that we've met because these are everyday people. I think 100 people profiles. I think that could be something interesting to read. You get to meet 100 people through this book. But I don't know, I think over time you realize there are certain things that naturally come to you. So a
Mm.
writer is naturally a writer, so one has to reach a point where they are like, this year I can write this. Uh, but sequel and all, I think it just requires a lot of time to make a documentary film.
Yes,
And
yes, definitely.
and but I feel like a lot of these stories will resurface in fictional stories. There's a lot of fodder for telling these stories, layering them with fictional elements to also I think tell those stories in a very sharp way. That's the
Mm.
feeling that I have. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that was more or less what I had to say. All of you guys, you can give your own closing thoughts, and something that like Samarth and I, we always try, we want to, build this culture of documentary film watching. And this thing is still running a bit shakily, but post our 2 seasons of course, we have merged the groups together. Some interested people, they're trying to watch and discuss some documentary films now and then online, obviously. So we want to keep this culture alive and going, especially in India, where there's too much of reliance on overstimulation and बस यही देखेंगे कि कुछ ना कुछ स्क्रीन में धमाकेदार होता होते रहना चाहिए. So it's not a bad thing, but documentaries have their own appeal. And when I watched Unreserved, like I hadn't watched many documentaries. It was probably my sixth or seventh or something like that. Not that much also. So yeah, closing thoughts from each one of you. We can start with whoever wants.
I think I'll
Omkar, you
continue
go.
on that thought.
Okay, Ashay.
Yeah, I'll continue on that thought of filmmakers, of people who want to watch documentaries and them coming together and all those, that part of the culture. I'll, I really wanted to raise this because I have been thinking with our team also that uh, we have roundtables of ad makers, we have roundtables of production producers of fiction films. We are not able to get good roundtables or even a group of people who are there to discuss what is really wrong in nonfiction and how we can actually make it better. And it's not about making a great nonfiction film, it's about distributing a great nonfiction film. Nonfiction can't survive if it is in the silos. That is the major problem that I've seen in now 12 years because my new team members who are actually quite young, quite energetic, question everything with me, have started asking me this. And this is a big thing actually when I look back and I think that I haven't thought about it. Uh, we as a community, as a fraternity, have never come together. We don't talk to each other about our projects mostly because people are very reserved about their projects. They might talk to you in a co-bazaar, co-film production market and all of those things. But as a fraternity, we need to start looking in deep into it. Otherwise, the survival will become a literally a big of a problem. How long will these things run? They won't run until unless you are able to figure out a distribution, a viewership, and otherwise you will be limited to the glass door, like those glass doors जो होते हैं ना Indian Idol ये वो जो that is for the TRP, and I don't know whether they are getting the TRP now because over there also a lot of people are getting fired, changing places because nothing is working for them, and this is a big question. People are not able to solve it because they are stuck in the past, and the non-fiction people are not coming together. What Cameron Shorts did is actually, for by the grace of God, it has been really good. Our journey has been sustained for 12 years. I don't know how many of the other non-fiction filmmakers would have survived through a 12-year journey while making a team, while building a team that is sustainable. We had 10 people on our payroll, all surviving on a non-fiction fund. Not the grants, nothing, but it's all pure business over here now. But I don't find anyone else doing this. Whom do I go out to? Whom do I talk to? That भाई ये वाली प्रॉब्लम है, ये हमारी, हम नहीं क्यों नहीं खरीद रहा है कोई ओटीटी, अभी क्यों नहीं ऐसा कर रहे हो, और ओटीटी क्यों खरीदेगा क्योंकि उसको ट्रस्ट ही नहीं है आप पे कि आप फॉलो रियलिटी कितना कर सकते हो, मतलब हम कितने लोगों पे होगा. We get a call for every almost every project that is around the follow reality thing. That has become our niche, right? We have said a lot of no's to a lot of projects which would have literally made me a lot of money just because they were glass floor shows. I don't want to do that. So if I know that as a producer I'm such, I would love to meet people who are not just producers, maybe directors, and not talk about their projects. I'm done discussing projects, literally. If you come talk to me about project, let's have a that's a different kind of meeting. But what I'm seeking right now is how do you make the industry survive? How do you make the people with the ambition of getting into nonfiction survive? I'll tell you why we got into nonfiction. It was not because I loved nonfiction, very honestly. It was for the sheer fact that nonfiction can be made by anyone. If you see vlogs now. Back in 2014, 2012, when I started it off in college, uh, I had no clue how a documentary is made, right? So after you learn how to make a documentary, how you learn how to make a non-fiction, you realize it's doable. It's not that labor intensive in the sense that cash intensive. It's labor intensive. You need to put in your bread and soul into this, and that's what we all did. We worked at a very low cost because there's no investment, but आप उसको एफर्ट से कॉम्पनसेट कर सकते हो, फिक्शन को नहीं कर सकते. फिक्शन में जो सेट चाहिए वो चाहिए, जो एक्टर चाहिए वो चाहिए, ठीक है. तो मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा है कि हम लोग सब जितने भी लोग हैं, I am not able to come across a round table or a place or a seminar or a conference or a get together, simple chai coffee पे get together with the filmmakers, not to discuss भाई तुम्हारे प्रोजेक्ट के लिए, क्योंकि मैं जिस जिस बाजार में जा रहा हूँ, जिस ग्रांट में जा रहा हूँ, even as an invitee, even as a just an observer, मैं देख रहा हूँ सब पैसे ही मांग रहे हैं. और वो कैसे आएंगे जब तुम कभी सॉल्व ही नहीं कर पा रहे हो कि इसको देखने कौन वाला है और किसको कैसे बनाएंगे एज अ फ्रेटर्निटी. कैसे मिलेगा आपको पैसा? नहीं मिल सकता, क्योंकि आप तो अपने अपने में घुसे हुए हो. आप सबको लेके चलो तो अच्छा हो. This is what I have been thinking for past 1 month or so. I don't know how to solve this. I'm trying to figure that out. But this is a genuine problem. It will grow and grow and grow. Already काफी किल हो चुका है. आपको जो पहले सीक्रेट गेम्स वगैरह भी मिल गया, आपको नेटफ्लिक्स ने बहुत अच्छे अच्छे शोज दे दिए, कहाँ है वो सब? वो भी तो नीचे ही जा रहा है ना. तो सभी कुछ नीचे जाने वाला है, तो यहाँ पे रहने में क्या फायदा? तो बनाने का क्या फायदा? राइट. अगला सवाल ये आ जाता है, क्योंकि कोई पैसे देगा नहीं. पैसे इसलिए इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज आपको सस्टेन करना है. कब तक फ्री में काम करोगे, राइट? So I think my major closing note right now is to get more filmmakers not talk about their own films, but get them to discuss how do we survive and make this industry more like watchable. More people reach out to it. More people trust it. हम लोगों ने भी किया ना. We did Gaming Insan 2 years back. Uh, सबने बोला factual है, non yeah, Alma Matters भी हुआ. So these were the series we did for Netflix and Amazon. Uh, Both of them survived great, man. Alma was in the top, was the first most watched series for almost a week on Netflix in India, which is great. We did Gaming Insan. It was amongst the top 10 shows of non-fiction for the 2 weeks that it was there. In fact, आप पूरी Ormax से list उठाइएगा, आपको एक साल में above Playground is Gaming Insan. So if we were able to do this, but then when you come back again and you say कि यार ये तो ठीक था, आगे भी फॉलो रियलिटी करते हैं और करेंगे, बट मैं अकेला कब तक वो लड़ूंगा ना. मतलब मेरे साथ कुछ तो और भी प्रोड्यूसर्स होने चाहिए जो बोले भाई दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ स्टफ यू शुड मेक, एंड दैट्स वेयर द इंडस्ट्री मूव्स. नो वन इज टीचिंग यू हाउ टू मेक अ नॉन फिक्शन और बीइंग अ प्रोड्यूसर ऑफ नॉन फिक्शन, एटलीस्ट इन इंडिया. क्या मतलब कमिशनिंग साइड भी नहीं है, राइट? सो आई एम जस्ट थिंकिंग दैट वी शुड ऑल start thinking about this. About if you love non-fiction, you should genuinely now take care of the survival of non-fiction because stories बनाना सीख गए हैं, अच्छी कहानियां बोलना सीख गए हैं. बट उसके आगे कैसे करोगे? क्योंकि नए लोगों को भी लाना है ना भाई. नए लोग जो आते हैं सब बोलते हैं फिक्शन करना है, या फिर नॉन फिक्शन के लोग हैं, कम हैं बट हैं और अच्छे हैं. But my focus right now in the next 5 years actually is right now move to this part that I have done my part. I have set up a system. All of those things are done. Now, how do I make it more broader? Make it like a community who discusses. कि भाई यूएस में इतने अच्छे अच्छे शोज चलते हैं, यूरोप में इतने अच्छे अच्छे शोज चलते हैं, कोरिया में अच्छे 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 एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन होते हैं, इंडिया में क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? हमारे तो लेबर कॉस्ट भी कम है ना भाई. आप किस बारे में बात कर रहे हो? अरे सब कुछ कम है. तो आप कैसे नहीं सर्वाइव करा पा रहे हो इस सिचुएशन में भी? तो एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? वो जब एक्सपेरिमेंट होगा ना तब असली माल निकलेगा. जो आप अनरिजर्व्ड आपको पसंद आया और बॉर्डरलैंड्स के साथ हमारे क्यों कम एक्सपेक्टेशन थी, बट इट वर्क रियली वेल बिकॉज़ इट वाज मार्केटेड रियली वेल. तो हमारे तो बहुत एफर्ट मारा उसमें. अनरिजर्व्ड वो गरीबी की फिल्म, जब भी पूरा इंटरव्यू भी आप सुनेंगे गरीबी की फिल्म थी, बट उसने नॉलेज इतना दे दिया ना कि गरीबी में आर्ट मिल गई. That was the most interesting part of that. We were experimenting. We didn't know what we were doing. काजवा जब समर्थ के साथ किया हमने पहली बार फायरफ्लाइज को कैमरे में कैप्चर किया. भाई ये सब चीजें तभी तो होती हैं, तभी तो तुम्हारा ब्रांड बनता है, तभी कैमरा एंड शॉट से नाम बन जाता है. अगर आप एक्सपेरिमेंट करना बंद कर दोगे तो आप खत्म हो जाओगे. एक्सपेरिमेंट करने के लिए आपको सपोर्ट नहीं मिलेगा तो आप अंदर से भी खत्म हो जाओगे. तो वी नीड टू लिटरली नाउ move our discussions to that direction is what I feel. And since all four of us have been there in this journey, and 12 years journey is a long journey. And battling in this, हमने और भी काम किया. मैं भी एड्स करता हूँ, मैं भी और चीजें करता हूँ, बट आई जेन्युइनली फील दैट मेरे को इस फील्ड के लिए ज्यादा करना है आगे. तो या दैट विल बी माय क्लोजिंग नोट. आई गेस मैं थोड़ा इमोशनल हो जाता हूँ, बट यार मैं अभी बहुत ज्यादा सोच रहा हूँ इन सब चीजों पे. This
See,
can't
but I
continue
was
like this.
thinking that a lot of Indian documentaries are getting international recognition, whether it's All That Breathes या फिर ये Elephant Whisperers या फिर एक जो और मूवी गई थी Period
आपको
End of
सपोर्ट दिखता है वो
Century.
कहाँ से आ रहा है, वही तो
हाँ,
पॉइंट है, वो सपोर्ट
exactly.
इंडिया से नहीं
So
है।
there has to be a
या
backing. But these
या
kind of accolades don't really ensure backing for indie filmmakers, right? But fictional indie filmmakers are doing well now at the international stage also. That should happen for non-fiction films also, is what we are talking about.
या वी हैव टू आल्सो करेक्ट आवरसेल्व्स। आप मतलब मैं अभी जैसे आपको सच्ची बताऊं, मैं उसको डी वर्ड बोलने लगा हूं कि मैं किसी पिच में जाके डॉक्यूमेंट्री नहीं बोलता, मैं नॉन फिक्शन बोलता हूँ, बिकॉज डॉक्यूमेंट्री के साथ एक स्टिग्मा अटैच्ड है। ठीक है, मैं फैक्चुअल, मैंने जनरेशन चेंज होते देखा, डॉक्यूमेंट्री, नॉन फिक्शन, फैक्चुअल एंटरटेनमेंट है, फॉलो रियलिटी, ये अलग अलग नाम देख लिए
Actually.
मैंने।
Mm-hmm.
हाँ, तो ये सारे मैंने ना बेचने के तरीके से, मैं सोचता हूँ एक एमबीए का कोई बंदा बैठा है, आज उसका मूड हुआ कि नहीं आज ऐसे बेचेंगे सर को, तो उसने वैसा वर्ड बना दिया। ठीक है वो सब सेम चीज। तो I feel that even from our end as a fraternity, we need to figure that out. We need to figure out the business part of it, and that we are not doing. हम अपनी जोन में चल रहे हैं, तो या दोनों
Mm-hmm.
तरफ से यार, it's not one side, हमें भी करना है उतनी मेहनत, सामने वाला तभी इंटरेस्ट लेगा। या
Mm-hmm. Anadi
I
Omkar.
think I'll add to what Asha was saying. Uh, I think like 12 years back now, it just feels weird to say 12 years. But 12 years back, when we first started to work, one of the reasons I had given up on documentaries because I thought documentary is not my cup of tea because it's something probably I don't understand and what works, what doesn't work. And I had had bad experiences before that. So, but then what really excited me was because Asha came from this whole thing that we are just open to everything and let's try and do something new. So that was very exciting because, whichever documentaries I had been involved with before that, it all came with a very rigid structure and a rigid uh, understanding of what a documentary film is. Also, uh, I uh, I was also very scared of taking on subjects which I had very less understanding of in terms of um, emotions and just understanding the subject. And I think that is something which also noticed as we spent like time and we made a lot of films in camera and shots, is that we were also trying to push the envelope in every direction. Like they were trying to do films which were about travel, and they were trying to do films which are about some a village where there are fireflies, and then and every we were also trying to in some sense, which was quite funny because there was a film which they shot um, in the sea near
fish
Udupi.
tail।
Yeah, and it was not working out, and we were stressed about it a little bit, but then we just thought that since we have to break all the rules, they we sort of got the director to just narrate what happened and just recorded his video. I
We
think
got
Samarth
the
will add the
director
spicy
we got
details.
the director drunk and narrated, because I think the person who was trying to direct it, he was a little reserved, so we had to make him unreserved. And since unreserved plug hashtag.
Yeah,
So we got him drunk and we did an interview, and we had told him that based on whatever we talk, we'll write a narration. But the interview was so good that we ended up using that drunk narration
yeah,
in the film.
yeah,
But I think the fun
yeah,
part was that it was five of us, and five of us thinking about that our film is stuck and we need to do something. So,
yeah,
like I think Anadi is saying, there were really no rules, and getting someone drunk and sort of थोड़ा धोखा दे के उनसे फिल्म बनवा ली हमने, एंड बाद में उसी को दिखाई क्योंकि वही डायरेक्ट कर रहा था, देन ही इज लाइक एक्चुअली दिस इज व्हाट आई वाज ट्राइंग टू मेक.
So I think, yeah, that's what essentially happened. It felt like another film school, and it had that energy. So I really miss those spaces that at least I had for some time with camera and shots. where you're not made to feel that the stakes are very high, even if the stakes are high, and you are just free to just experiment. I feel that I'm sure you'll make some bad films out of it, but you'll probably also make some very good films out of it. And I think that's some of the films that have come out are very unique and very good. And no one at that point of time, at least I can say that uh, retrospectively, that I don't think anyone was experimenting with documentaries at that point of time. And I feel that it was very important for all of us also as our careers sort of uh, where we were starting off. And it was just very important to have a space like that where we could just do whatever we want and hope that someone watches it and something good comes out of it. So yeah, I think we just need to be a little less afraid when we're making films. It's just, I think we are too caught up in, oh, what is the audience going to think? Oh, how are we going to distribute? All of that you obviously have to think, but you don't have to think it in a very, in a very strategizing way that you just have to understand that if you understand the pulse of your audience, eventually you will find a way to, reach your audiences. And I think, yeah, I just feel that we should probably experiment a little more, like Asha was saying. So yeah.
Right.
Omkar, your Samarth. Whoever.
Yeah. So no, I think I want to take on this line from Ashay and Anadi actually because it's an interesting line of thought. And I think one thing which was interesting when we started making films at Camera and Shots was that what was the reference point? And I think from the beginning for us, the reference point was not informational documentaries. Because I remember discussing and watching a lot of Vice that year. And Vice had this documentary on how there is a country in South America where men have sex with donkeys. And I think growing up, I never thought that could be a film or that could be something that I will watch and I'll be like, wow, this is very interesting, right? So I think our idea of cinema was, I mean, for me that was right. That was actually a film school because I did not even go to a film school, and that in that 1 year we made 10 shorts and one feature. I think in terms of productivity, maybe I am assuming and making a claim that might have been the most productive year in terms of just the number of films we made. Like even after that we worked for 10 years, but I think that was the year when we made the most number of films. So it was, I think, we do one complicate the idea of making a film. The more we get to understand, I think we think about pitching and what is, we think a lot about, you know are we the right person to tell this story? And these are important questions, but I think many times you have to give in to your base emotions and cravings. There is no reason. I did not write a director's note or a motivation note for Unreserved, and I can intellectualize it, but I think it just seemed like a very interesting thing to do. And I think most of us did that project because it just seemed like an exciting thing to do. But if I write that in my director's note or a pitch document, I don't think I'm going to get any funds ever. So I think we do sometimes overcomplicate the process of making a film. And I think what Ash is saying is also a systemic issue. Yeah, if he's avoiding the D word, I think many platforms actually, as soon as you say that you made a documentary, they don't want to hear anymore. So even within this independent cinema world, there is indie fiction and then there is documentary. So I think just to understand, because the way we decided to make documentaries, we were never thinking of them as pure documentaries. We were thinking of what will what will people feel after watching it. And I think that's all cinema, right? And I think the more we start seeing cinema as cinema, which a lot of festivals do. For example, you have Mumbai Film Festival, or most of the good film festivals, they program both fiction and documentaries. They don't segregate. So if you go to a Mumbai Film Festival, their South Asia competition will have fiction and non-fiction films. There is no segregation. And I think that's how cinema should be. But this hierarchy, or some form of caste system exists between different genres, which I think is very weird. Like there is no logic to it. You might have a very bad fiction film and you might have a very great documentary. But the documentary, just by the virtue of documentary, has lesser chances of getting distributed. And I think that is the systemic issue which we need to talk about. I'll actually, I mean, give more examples where, say, even for nationals, we have the category of feature and non-feature. Technically, feature means any film longer than 60 minutes, for example, and non-feature should mean any film shorter than 60 minutes. But in India, feature means feature fiction. A fiction film longer than 60 minutes is feature. All documentaries are non-feature. So I might make a 90-minute documentary, but in nationals, I will compete with a 20-minute short film. I can never compete with a 90-minute fiction film.
That's very illogical, actually.
It's illogical. So this illogicalness is sort of systemic when it comes to nationals, or even say a festival like IFFI, which is a government festival. Uh, this distinction of feature non-feature has confused the entire country, to be very honest, because whenever I go to a college and they will, so even if they'll see a 60-minute documentary, they'll call it a short film. That they will not call this a person who makes, say, a 60-minute documentary, they'll not call him a feature filmmaker. They will say, oh, aap to short film banate ho. In their head, any documentary is a short film, which is absurd. And I think this absurdity is what needs to be tackled systemically for documentaries to have as much space as fiction films, right? And I mean, I don't know where to start, but I think identifying the problem is one way of beginning. So I think
The first step to solve the problem is to release this 4-hour footage of Unreserved. There's no way one can say that's a short film, right? Change the definition of short there.
Yeah. But I think someday, if I have the lobbying capacity, first of all, I'll change the national and IFFI distinction of feature non-feature. I think that will be one systemic way of at least some sort of logic coming into the system.
Yes, now Omkar can speak.
Yeah, I think I'm going to sidetrack a little bit. I think I will. I
Yeah,
just want to
I think someone had to move ahead away from this topic.
It's open. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
open
No,
mic.
I mean, like as a like you said, like as a closing thing, I think I just want to take this opportunity. I think we have never. I think none of us has ever said this to each other, but like just thank you guys for being part of my journey, professional journey, and yeah, I mean like Unreserved became such a integral part of my career, and like just personally, professionally, both ways, it changed my life, and yeah, we've worked together on so many things after that. Um, it's been a great journey, so thank you guys.
That was your sidetracking.
I just figured out how to react. There is a way to react, which
Yeah.
Samarth actually did. I was looking for where to react.
So there's a
So there it
button there.
is.
Sidetracking is also a railway metaphor. See, trains will keep coming back
Yes.
wherever you talk about your film. Okay, I think we can wrap up. I'm very happy with how this discussion went. I'm sure you are happy too, except Omkar, who might be a bit hungry because he isn't at dinner. But yeah, I won't hold you for long. Thank you once again thanks Samarth for proposing to hold this in the first place. I'm very happy to revive my YouTube channel. I, I don't know until how long, but we'll see. But yeah, this was the greatest kind of revival that the channel could have. So I have my own
Thank you
thanks
so much.
to
Thank you
say.
for taking up the offer and bringing us together. And I think Omkar's expression makes me feel like this is how much it takes men to express. 10 years and a podcast about a film for
And
men to say thank you to each other. Express
And
gratitude.
also, you learned something new that Omkar had not traveled in trains much before.
Yeah, I mean
yes.
that is a
Grand
shocker.
revelations.
That has fundamentally shifted my
Um,
idea of reality.
But Omkar,
yeah.
you came to Chhattisgarh in a train.
Yeah. Oh
That
yes.
must have
Oh
been 24
yes.
hours, right?
Yes. 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 Yes,
You can you
correct.
I think we can cut this portion out of the of our
Yeah, I
discussion
think
so that
other
people still think that it
other
was a great
narrative
fun.
other narrative is
I
more
did
exciting. Yeah.
I
Yes.
did sleep through most of it, and
Ah,
it was not unreserved for sure.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
So,
no, I did do that.
yeah.
Yes, I remember.
That tells you how
So,
long it has been.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah, I think I know Omkar the longest. I think it's
2000,
been
2011, I guess we
16
met.
years. Yeah, yeah. 40, 15 years. Okay. That's, yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah,
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vasundhara, for doing
thank
this,
you
for
so
Ashay
much.
taking
wanted
out
to say
time.
something.
Oh,
Obviously,
Asha
it's
wants to
my
say
pleasure.
something.
Yes, I thought.
No, 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 no. I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. I hope we get to meet again online or in person, however it works. Samarth also I
Yes.
met only recently offline
You
after
you come to
knowing
Bombay,
each
then
other
we'll all get to
for
catch up more easily. I think
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
possibility of
yes.
you coming to
When
Bombay
is
is
the
more
time?
than all four of us coming to Bangalore.
Yes.
Any day
No,
it's more.
let's see. It used to be like that. Now not so much anymore, but yeah, I'll come. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Have a
Okay.
good night,
Thank you.
good
Thank you. Good
meal,
night.
dinner, whatever. Okay.
Good night.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye.
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 Bye bye.
Bye.
Um,
Bye.
good night.